Hello friends, and welcome to the second part of my entry to the Avatar Hero Pose collab, where we're trying to put together the look of an intro to a superhero cartoon. And our entries need to be in two parts. Last week I drew and animated the first static pose part, and this will be shown with all of the other characters standing together. And for this you could draw a single static image or have a little movement, and I chose to animate his cape fluttering in the wind. But this week I started work on the superpower part of the collab. So I sketched out the basic timing for my clip, and all we need is 4 seconds worth, that's 96 frames, or thereabouts, and I want to try to use the plastic tool as much as I can to see if I can make that work for me. So I started off, as you can see, by sketching a stickman going through the movement. And I already had the basic idea of what I wanted to do. I wanted to see him raise up from the ground, then use his mind powers with a close-up of the powers in action. And that was it. Pretty simple. So after sketching the basic poses, I adjusted the timing, which ironically took a while to do. And then using the drawing from last week as a rough size guide, I drew over the stickman to try to refine the poses. And for this you might notice, I used the duplicate frame option and the select tool extensively to try to save time. But using the select tool probably didn't save me that much time in reality. I could have just duplicated the drawing, erased the part I was changing, and then redraw those parts. And I wasn't too concerned about the poses looking great or the character being on model, I just wanted to work out the rough timing. Because like I said at the beginning, I want to try to use the plastic tool to pose him in the final animation. Although that will have its own limitations that I'll cover next week. So I drew out the rest of the poses, messed with their timing a little, and this was the final piece. But mulling it over, something didn't seem right. Even though I was trying to add in some anticipation for flying, it looked too much like he jumps into the air. So I had another go at the first part of the animation, when he raises up. And this time I went for more of a floating up style, like Storm from the X-Men does, to try to show that it's his power that's lifting him up. So I took some time drawing these first few poses, and then I copied the final close-up pose back into this column, so the one column contained all the sketches for this posing. And I also copied over the keys that gave him a floating look too. And while I was meddling with keys, I added a small zoom with the camera to better tie up the final pose with the first one. And the final thing I changed was to make his mind effects move down and to the left instead of directly towards the screen, to try to show them being directed at his enemy. So this is the final sketched animation, and I think I much prefer it over my first attempt. I think it shows his powers better. But I might change my mind again once I start working on the final piece, which will be next week. So do subscribe to follow me for that, and follow me on Twitter to get a preview of this and other behind the scenes treats. And I'll be back next week when I'll be working on the full colour final version. And that's a guarantee.